cover my funeral, Sean?
Yeah, I'm in. Toss me in. I'll put in $50, maybe some flowers. What do we got to do? We'll call it a political fundraiser so I can write it off.
Good morning, Amy Jacobson here. Sean from Elmwood Park, in for Dan Proft, and you're quite a hurricane Category 4 yourself, I might say.
Oh, that's
Talking
what your dad
loud,
said.
yelling. Yeah, my dad even called in and told me to tell you to
pipe it down. You got a guy telling me your email is great too. If I was going to bring cannolis in my Riviera, another moron you hung around with in high school. Go ahead.
But thanks so much for making us a part of your morning. We've had a great one so far, and Dan will be back on Monday. Actually, Dan and I are going to be broadcasting live from St. Louis because we are going to the Deuce, I'm calling it, the second presidential debate, which takes place Sunday night in St. Louis at Washington University. And a man that'll also be there is our very good friend, Bret Baier. He is anchor a special report weekdays at 5 o'clock Central Time. You said that's the only show you watch, right? It's
the only one left on Fox I watch. I love Bret Baier, and I've liked him for a very long time. This is the second time I got to talk to him, and I never thought I'd do it again. Very excited.
So exciting. With that, we welcome Bret Baier back to the program. Bret, you have a big fan here, Sean from Elmwood Park.
Excellent.
You want to know why, Bret? I remember the interview.
Did he bring the cannolis?
Yeah, in the Riviera. And you know what? I did have a Riviera. Yeah, don't forget that. I remember the interview you did with Obama right after, I think it was in his first term. And I thought that interview was my favorite. It really was. And I knew that you knew he was lying to you. And you could just tell that. So I enjoyed it very, very much. And I was hoping you'd do a little Jason Bourne, but you didn't. You're a pro.
So, Bret,
that was March of 2010, and that was the day before the House voted on the healthcare law. So that was the focus of that interview.
Yeah.
And if you go back, and I just did it recently, and look at that interview and what he said, and some of the things I asked about keeping your healthcare plan and a number of things actually came to be. And
that's called a lie. He lied. He knowingly lied.
Yeah, Democrats are now saying openly, including former President Clinton, that it's not working, and they got to redo it.
Wow.
And at that point, you were my favorite.
Well, thank you.
So, Bret, we only have a few months left of the Obama administration. 1 days until the election and 2 days until the next debate. Donald Trump apparently has actually been studying. He's been preparing for this next debate. Do you know exactly what he's doing, Bret?
Well, yesterday's town hall in New Hampshire was, they said, Trump said this is not a practice, but there was a clock there, a 2-minute clock, at the town hall. So I think, and the first answer you give in the debate is 2 minutes, and then you interact with people in this town hall format. So it really was a test run last night. He did fine. He's off the trail today, and we're told he's working with Chris Christie and Reince Priebus. So I don't know how much practice.
Laurel and Hardy.
Well, are the candidates going to have the questions ahead of time? Do they know what the audience members are going to ask?
No.
Okay.
Nope, they won't. They won't have the questions ahead of time. What I love is getting my email and tweets and Facebook messages after a debate, and usually it's Hillary Clinton had an earpiece. They had the questions ahead of time. There were hand signals that the debate moderator, favored Hillary Clinton. From all that we can tell, there's none of that.
Well, I gotta ask you a question. Have you ever? Now, you've been following politics, I'm assuming, way before you got into reporting. Have you seen a presidential or any election, really, congressman, anything, that particularly people are tuning in? It's like watching NASCAR. You're only tuning in to see the wreck. You're just watching to see who the insults are going to be. And, does Donald Trump in the next 2 days have enough time to learn about capitalism, free trade, liberty, and sovereignty? Or is it just going to be a little more of the same little Lord echo chamber where I can do the same socialist thing she wants to do, just a little better? So I think that any of the 16 other candidates would have been decimating Hillary Clinton. What do you think? No one ever asked you what you think.
I think that they would probably be doing better than Donald Trump, but she still would be doing pretty well. I think they'd be tied or a little bit up. Like, let's say it's Marco Rubio or John Kasich. They would have the advantage. They'd have more paths to 270 than Donald Trump does. Here's the bottom line in this election. He can still win, but she is clearly leading and has more chances to get to the number needed because of minorities and advantages in states that traditionally are Democratic.
Do you think that this is sink or swim for Donald Trump, this debate? I mean, after the first one, his nationwide and battleground state poll numbers plummeted after the first debate.
Yeah, I think that he needs to perform well. He can't get baited in to some of these questions where he goes down a rabbit hole and we don't see him for a little while because he's talking about Miss Universe or birtherism.
Or gibberish.
I think, he could take a lesson from probably Governor Pence in the ability to pivot off of questions that he doesn't like. But he's, Donald Trump, and he is who he is. And part of his appeal is that he's authentic. It's just not the traditional way that politicians can get out of things.
If he loses, is it the end of the Republican Party? Is Reince Priebus finally going to be fired? Will it all just come crashing down on the Democrat light platform of the Fabian Socialists? It's a good one, huh? Just say it's a good question, will you?
Yeah, I mean, the strong letter to follow.
He's been practicing that question all morning long.
Not really. But...
Yeah, I could hear that. I think if the Republicans lose the Senate, then there's going to be a real issue. I think if they lose the presidency at this point, that there will be a restructuring of the Republican Party to try to find itself. If they lose the Senate and the presidency, there's going to be a hair on fire kind of thing.
Do you think this time around people in the audience will ask about Benghazi? They'll ask about our national security and border security and immigration?
I bet immigration will definitely be a topic. They haven't spent too much time on it. And I don't know if Benghazi will come up. I actually don't. But some element of foreign policy and Secretary Clinton's record will come up, I'm sure. A lot of questions in these formats deal with the economy and how people are feeling at home about their jobs.
I have just read an article that Barack Obama's approval rating is at its highest point in his second term.
Yeah, 55%.
Is it? Now listen, Brett, I know people are stupefied, right? You've got more people on government benefits than ever in the history of the country. Taxes are being confiscated at a higher rate. Government is doing phenomenal for its position right now. We are all wallowing in stagflation, in the mediocrity of nonsense socialized program like Obamacare. Is it just that people are just too stupid and have been lulled to sleep to just say, all right, I'm in. Go ahead, you take control.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of things happening. One is that they're sick of this presidential election, and they look at the two candidates and they go, you know what, President Obama wasn't so bad.
That's true.
And that's number one.
About
number
that.
two is that his personal approval rating is different than if you poll about his policies. If you ask a question about Obamacare, if you ask a question about taxes or regulations, you get a completely different answer than if you do about his personal approval rating. So, I think those things can be separate and still both accurate.
All right. So are you going to be reporting live Sunday night, 7 p.m. from St. Louis?
I'll be there. So you guys are going to be there?
Yep, we'll be there.
Not me. I'll be at home smoking a cigar watching you saying, I talked to that guy just a couple days ago.
And Bret Baier, before we let you go, I know that your wife, Amy, great name, by the way, she's from the area. Are you cheering on the Cubs tonight?
I will cheer on the Cubs.
Yay.
And, by the way, in fact, I'm coming into Chicago to MC the Good Shepherd Advocate Hospital Gala because my in-laws are the chairs this year. And so tomorrow night I will be there, I guess at Arlington Race.
Oh, you're going to love it.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about it, but you're not going to want to park in lots C. You're going to want to go right to A. But that's what I hear.
Yeah, he's never been there. He's a novice.
With the Riviera and the cannoli.
Yeah, right next to the Elbow.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. We'll have a wonderful event, and hopefully we'll see you on Sunday.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks. That's Bret Baier from Anchor of Special Report weekdays at 5 p.m. Central Time on Fox News Channel, and Special Report Sunday, which is at 7 p.m. And they started this Special Report Sunday show just for during the election cycle, and it's really good. If you like Bret Baier during the week, you should see him on Sunday nights.